For the girls and women who are talented, passionate, and driven.
For the girls and women who get excited about solving problems using numbers.
For the girls and women who are drawn to cars and want to know how they work.
For girls and women who want to save the planet through technology.
For the girls and women whose passion for something comes easy when their career does not. We see you and understand your interests and desire to make a difference pursuing a career in science, engineering, technology, and math.
We are Trailblazers Live.
Our mission is to create meaningful videos and content that inspires STEM pathways, empower new possibilities for future career pathways, and connect powerfully with women and girls everywhere for an equitable future.
We are ridiculously committed to connecting problems of tomorrow with the people who need to solve them.
We are calling you forth to join us.
Sponsor us and subscribe now.
We are for the girls and women, and our future is waiting.
Hello, and welcome to Trailblazers Live. This is our Women in Accounting and Financial Planning panel. We are excited to spend this time sharing the inspirational stories of our special guests. I'm Sarah Patnode, co-owner of Misfits Media, and I'll be producing the event today with Kiat Consulting. So get your questions ready. We'll have a question and answer section in this live broadcast. So we're live, anything can happen. So let's get ready. I'm going to hand it over to Amanda Savarsky to kick us off. Hello, Amanda.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us. As Sarah mentioned, we are coming to you live. Anything can happen. I'm your co-host, Amanda Sadarsky with Misfits Media. So Trailblazers Live is the brand evolution of the mentoring event panel model that was originally created by Million Women Mentors Minnesota and Kiat as a vehicle to expose, experience, and encourage more women and girls towards careers in STEM. Before we get started with our rock star panelists, I always talk about why are we here today. Although women represent 50% of the workforce, women are less than 24% of the STEM workforce. Worse yet, 50% of those women drop out of their careers within the first 10 years, with recent data suggesting that graduation rates for women with STEM degrees are declining. This is no longer just a women's economic issue. This gender-based educational and skills gap will lead to significant disparities between the qualifications of women that are entering the workforce and companies being able to adequately source their open positions now and in the future. As I note here on the slide, 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 have not been invented yet. One of the most common questions that we get as mentors in our positions is, what if I don't know what I want to do? And based on that statistic, the reality is you don't have to. The thing that's most important to us is that 75% of the fastest growing occupations in the US workforce require significant math or science skills. So in order for us to make sure that women and girls are harnessing their talents in those spaces to make them employable in the future is really why we're here today. Amidst the pandemic, young women at key decision points of their life have lost several of the common channels that Million Women Mentors Minnesota and Trailblazers Live provided them along their career pathways, such as mentors, career counselors, job shadowing, internships, corporate tours. So our goal in this forum is just to provide young women across the world a virtual alternative through Trailblazers Live to supplement the absence of these support channels. So I am so honored to be able to welcome Claudette and Whitney, who are two rock star trailblazing women in financial planning and accounting, here with us today. So before we get started on the first question, Whitney, would you mind just doing a brief introduction about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Whitney Emanuel, and my company is Strategic Visionaries Financial Planning, and I provide financial planning for clients. So that's basically I charge people to manage their investments and then also to manage their saving strategies. Anything that has to do with money, they can come to me.
Awesome. Thank you. Claudette?
Hi, my name is Claudette Sharpenter. I'm the managing partner for Ben Singh and Sharpenter. We're a business consulting firm that focuses on accounting, tax, and technology. My primary focus is more on complex matters, assisting our clients, whether it's individuals or business, with financial planning, more with the respect of doing complex analysis, whether it's cash flow, budgeting, tax, strategic planning, things like that.
Great, thank you so much. So Whitney, tell us a little bit about your trailblazing educational journey to become a financial planner. I know the pathway for many people that work in financial services I've encountered I spent almost 10 years in financial services. It can be an interesting, artistic, creative path that leads to their destination. And so anything that you would care to share with our panelists, I think they're just willing and open to hearing from anybody who's already blazed that trail.
Yep, definitely. So I didn't plan to become a financial planner when I was a young child, nor even when I was in college. I did not major in finance. So that's the nice thing about my career, is that a lot of places will provide on-the-job training, and there are additional exams that you must pass to become a financial planner or a financial advisor. But you don't need to necessarily get a college 4-year degree in that in order to become one. So what I did was, I've worked since I was 14. It's always been customer service type of focused work. And so that was my work experience prior to college. When I was in college, I still worked at a few jobs. I majored in linguistics, which is nothing to do with financial planning. I speak Spanish. That was what my thesis was in. I minored in econ, so I was interested in how money and the economy worked, but it wasn't the big focus for me. And then I graduated. I got recruited by Ameriprise Financial, which is a large financial planning company, and then they provided all the training. I had to get several exams when I came on board, and they walked through it. So a lot of places, if you are interested in it and you have if you're good with people and you are trustworthy, then they will train you how to manage people's money, and it's all on the job training. And then you also learn a lot as you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What about you, Claudette? What was your trailblazing educational journey to become an accountant?
Well, at first I wasn't quite sure that I wanted to be an accountant. I actually wanted to be an FBI agent, more so, I know, right? But so more focused in the financial crimes. So right out of high school, what I did is I went to St. Cloud State University, started off, went for my criminal justice, focus in financial crimes. And then later I went off to St. Cloud State, Metropolitan State University, to get my accounting and degree, and then a minor in organizational communication. So thereafter, and then straight out of college, what I did is I went and I worked for a CPA firm that I actually interned in high school, and which was great, because then there I was focused on studying and getting the CPA exam, just kind of like checking off my box of requirements before making the choice to go off on my own. So while being at the CPA firm, I chose to focus my time more on the technical side of things, where some individuals would want to focus on business development. Let me go out, let me grab clients, maybe I'll get 10% on that or what have you based on the firm. So, but for me, it was more on the technical side. What can I gather and learn as much as I possibly can? Because at that point, I already knew that I wanted to start on my own. So I started focusing on things that interest me, like international taxation. Like that was a very intriguing matter for me. So I wanted to really understand and get more in depth with that. Nonprofits, like being able to really understand how they operate and being able to help with the financials, and then on the tax side of things. So I basically went down the list of different things that, like, as I mentioned, that intrigued me to help me and position myself to where I am today, which is at my own practice. Later, I then decided to continue on with the credentials and focused on, it's a certified divorce financial analyst. That was another intriguing thing that I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool how to basically analyze. I have a very analytic mind, so I like very complex matters. And I thought that it would be very beneficial if I was able to help, whether if it's attorneys or just individuals who are going through divorce through from a financial perspective. So I went ahead, did that, checked that off of the list, and then I decided, okay, that's not enough. I want more. So then I went on studying for my examination for a certified business valuator. So I'm not sure like what's next on my list, but that is one thing I like to grow, and anything that I can do to always continue my education and improve, because I feel like if I improve myself, I can improve things for my clients and be very helpful to them. So that's pretty much my educational pathway.
Yeah, that's so great. I come from two parents that were educators their entire careers, and so I definitely relate, man. If I could be paid to go to school forever, I sure would be a professional student. So I can completely relate to that. All right, so our next question: Whitney, tell our viewers about yourself and your passions, and how, you know, a world of financial planning aligns with those passions.
Sure. So I talk about this a lot with my clients, learning about what their values are and why money is important to them, because it's really not about money. It's about what money is going to do for you today and then also in the future, right? So number one of my big whys would be helping people remove fear and shame and anxiety about money. And so in order to do that, I bring order, and I create a plan. And so for people to have that peace of mind and joy when they think of money, rather than anxiety and not having a plan, or maybe they have these investments and they're losing money and they don't know what to think of it, I help contextualize it and say, hey, this is how it's supposed to work, or if it's not working, let's fix it. So I love people. I mean, as I explained, I was all customer service as a young adult. And so to be able to go into a job where I'm helping people change their lives for the better is really rewarding.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What about you, Claudette?
Well, I would have to say a little bit about myself and my passion. Well, I'm very result driven, as I mentioned. So I'm more geared towards, I set goals for myself, and I check things off. So I always create a list, and within that list, there might be like a goal, sub goals, etc. And that's my process, only because I'm so result driven, and that's a guarantee to ensure that things are being done at a timely manner. So that to me helps with my clients and within my industry, because there's a lot of deadlines, there's a lot of things that needs to get done, and sometimes you find yourself kind of scrambling all over the place. You could be working on multiple projects at a time, and you just really have to have good time management. So for me, being very result driven and being able to focus in on the target helps me on the professional side. As far as my passion goes, I would have to say my family. My family is my passion. My career is also my passion, but on the personal side, it's very important to me that I spend time with my family. I need that balance, and because without that balance, for me personally, I can't function. So what I try to do is I have my work, I do my job very well, but at the same time, I have to be that good mom. And, And for me, having that, developing a memory, creating those memories with them helps me do my job better, because then whether if it's through hiking or just baking or what have you, it allows me to feel good inside and less stress. So then when I get over on the other side, I'm able to function. So that is how I believe with my passion and who I am and my focus.
Yeah, both of you really tapped into, and this is something until I worked in financial services, I just didn't understand that there is really an element of connection that resides within the business of money. When you talk especially about philanthropic efforts or just supporting your clients, there's that balance really that you need to connect to it via passion in order to really do your job well. So thank you both for tapping into that, because I think that's a really important point for your two professions. So moving on to the next question. Describe a day in the life of a financial planner and accountant. And if applicable, I think it's also really helpful for viewers to understand how your job might have changed, if at all, related to the pandemic, or amidst a time that's very different than anything we've ever been amidst before. So anything that you would care to share with us around just how the pandemic has impacted what you do or how you do it, I think would be great to share as well. So Whitney, you want to go first?
Sure. So I'll just talk about the duties of my job. What are the things that I do every day? And then we can talk about the pandemic. So a few things that I do so first of all, client-facing meetings, right? So I'll meet with somebody. If it's an initial meeting, that's an exploratory meeting where we go into their goals. We look at what do they have set up financially. We take a look, kind of audit, where are they at financially? But then we also do an internal emotional audit. How are you feeling about money? What are your values? What are your goals? So that's an initial meeting. And I have about 4 to 8 of those a month. So not every day. That would be too much. I would need more than one of me if that were true, which hopefully we'll get there, but not right now. And then we also have quarterly reviews or semi-annual reviews, depending upon the client. And then I have my review meetings with clients to make sure that they're on track with their plan, make sure they're on track with their investments and tax issues. And that's where, for the viewers that don't know, like financial planners and accountants and CPAs work together a lot, because Claudette does the taxes, I do the investments for them, right? And then when it comes to tax strategy, I can't give tax advice. I say talk to Claudette, right? So, and so speaking of which, I also have networking meetings often. So, meet with someone who's maybe in the industry or not, but would be someone who could put me in touch with someone else, or maybe I could do the same. So there's a lot of connecting and networking that's not client facing. So those are all the meetings. And then on an administrative side, I have Linda, who's my assistant. She's also my mother. She's the best. And so what happens there is that we do a lot of work together to plan our days. And she works with me part-time. She works with me 3 days a week. We meet every morning. What do you have to do today for paperwork? Because she takes care of all the paperwork, all the administrative side, all the bookkeeping. And so that's what she does. And I'm more, here is what I'm going to do with my clients today. So we'll make sure that everything's getting taken care of. And then on the other side of the administrative, I do a lot of what we call casework, where, I'm taking a look at a client's situation, depending upon where they're at in the planning process. And I'll say, I need to change their portfolio, or I need to create this financial planning recommendation sheet. I need to pull some numbers from their plan to determine how on track they are with their goals, and pulling different levers to see what if they retire later, what if they want to retire early. So looking at, that's the analysis side and the problem solving side that I get giddy about. But then there's the client facing side. So there's 2 spaces to my work. And I think that covers about everything. I have And then there are other professionals that I'll leverage. Like I use Sarah for marketing, Linda as my assistant. I also use someone for products that I brand. So, various other professionals that I meet with as well. But oftentimes I'm a part of a team for a client. So the client has an accountant, has an attorney, has me, has a bookkeeper. And so I'll oftentimes do meetings on clients that has with their professionals. So that's another part of it. But yeah, a lot of moving parts. And then I have about 3 to 4 meetings a day. Now, pandemic life hasn't changed a lot, except that I can't meet clients in person. Fortunately, before the pandemic even happened, I've already had clients all throughout the United States. So I'm not geographically bound, which is awesome. And so I have clients in Alaska and New York and Texas and all over. And so that didn't change too much, except everybody went virtual. All our files are electronic already. Everything was electronic. So I was ahead of the curve before I even knew I needed to be ahead of the curve. So that worked out really well. I'm working 100% from home now. I canceled office sharing, just doesn't make any sense. And also I have my 7-year-old daughter who's home with me, who needs help with her schooling because she's not old enough to be independent, to be learning on her own. And so both my mom and I will tag team, and then I'll do it on the days that my mom's not here to make sure that she's on her meetings, doing her work, etc. She's been great. She has not interrupted me once so far, which that's pretty good. But yeah, so that's pandemic life. And I will probably remain virtual for longer than I need to because it's a lot more efficient. I can get more meetings in a day. And then I just take walk breaks and I make sure to work out every morning. So workout, coffee, I wake up at 5 a.m. I have about 3 hours and I pray in the mornings, read my Bible. I do that for like 3-4 hours. Then I get into my work day. I end the work day strictly at 5, no exceptions, because I need to spend time with my daughter in the evening. So similar to what Claudette said, having that balance is also really important to me.
Great. Thank you so much, Whitney. Well, hopefully your daughter interrupts before my kindergartner outside my door interrupts us. So I think it's just so great to share those personal experiences because, quite frankly, I mean, we're just all in this together. It is what it is.
And we're
so
all
Claudette.
experiencing it. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, Claudette, what about you?
Yes. So my typical day, let's see, before pandemic, usually I start off my day once I get into the office. I like to review like my emails, check all my emails, make sure, well, I guess I'm going to actually back it up. Let me rewind. So I'll start when I wake up. So just like Whitney, I actually get up. Sometimes I get up at 4 though, but I really try to just get up more like at 5. And then what I like to do is I would go into the office more so like 7, 8 o'clock, because what I'd like to do is I have my cup of coffee. I only have 1 cup a day. And within that time, I'd like to at least spend an hour or 2, depending on what's trending. So one of the biggest things that I really enjoy doing is self-educating myself or self-growth and just kind of reading through what if it's, like I said, whatever's trending on the internet or any tax laws, any updates that I need to know prior to going into the office. Because, there's always a lot of changes, especially now with the pandemic that's going on, whether if it's from the accounting perspective or tax. That is just one thing that I have to ensure that I keep myself up to date on. And the best way to do that is when I, wake up right away before getting ready for work. I can just sit, have my cup of coffee, read the news, figuring out what company is doing what, or who's doing well, who's doing bad, check out the stocks, just things like that. And then when I go into the office, I do check my emails, going through and responding to clients. So I do that on a daily basis. Any types of questions my team has, I would respond or follow up on. And then what I do based on the emails and based on the voicemail, whether throughout the night, because I do get calls from clients, believe it or not, at 11 p.m. So it's kind of, which it's fine, but if they leave a message, then those type of message, then I create my priority list. So then that way we know what's, available for my team to work on. So then after I go through all the emails, create the priority list, I sit down and we have a meeting or daily meeting. So then that way I'm delegating, everyone knows what everyone's doing. We kind of figure out, okay, what's the status on whatever project, whatever client they're working on. So then that way we can get these, things out the door a lot faster. So that's pretty much the things that how my day goes. And then more towards the end of the day, midday or so after lunchtime, I do a lot of follow-up with clients, whether if they're waiting for me because they reached out with questions, concerns, things like that, or if I'm just following up with them to see if they have any needs. And especially now with the year-end tax filing, it's more so where I'm reaching out to those who have not reached out to me to see if they have like any last-minute type tax, planning or any concerns, because I always tell my clients, like, after December comes and goes, that's it. So now we're just kind of dealing with the after, and we can't be more proactive. So I do a lot of that. Like now that's my October, November, and December has been consumed with that. That's my daily thing where I'm on it. I'm making sure any last minute changes in the laws and making sure that all of my clients are able to utilize the tax laws to their benefits. So that's pretty much what I do. And then more towards the end of the day, I usually, like Whitney mentioned, just getting into the business development, networking type things before I end my day. And then my day after networking, I try to then go through my list, and that determines if I continue to work for the day or not, because the goal is always, it's called the daily priority list. So if everything has not been done, so we do a check-in at the end of the day with the team. And if everything is not checked off of the list, then I keep going. So, but before I do that, I go home, I make dinner for family, I sit down, I eat dinner with the family. We all have to sit at the table, that's mandatory. And so after dinner, I have teenage kids, so they don't want anything to do with me. So, which it works for my benefit, because then I continue with my list until it's done. And that's my typical day. Things obviously didn't change. Well, I shouldn't say obviously, but it has not changed a whole lot. Similar to Whitney, from day one, we've had everything pretty much set up where the only thing we have is just our tablets. So our server and everything is off-site secure. So you take the tablet, you plug it into your main multiple monitors, whether it's at home or at the office. So we never really skipped the beat. It was just kind of when the state shut down, it was just, okay, everyone just worked from home. And all I needed was just my tablet. So that was a great thing. It was only in June I started coming to the office. It's nice for me to come to the office. I like it. I do work from home, just depending on the days and what my kids' needs are. So as I mentioned, it's been a struggle because they're in school but they're at home. So what I just need to make sure that I'm doing is when they need me or they have questions, there's certain days I stay home so then I can answer those questions, so I can be there and guide them. And then the other days where I know for a fact that they don't need me, I'm at the office. So that creates my balance as well too, because if I'm home, guess who's making lunch? Me. And sometimes I have a meeting and I can't do that. So it's nice to get away from the distraction. I get a lot more done. But other than that, the one thing that I did add, I do work out now because I never did, but after the pandemic, I I do that. So after I do my morning coffee and my readings, I work out before I shower and get ready. And it's really provided a lot of energy, and like physically and mentally, it's just done wonders, because I know like with all that's going on, mentally it's very draining, but adding workout to my routine really helped me function each day. And it's been so far so good for me. So
Great. Thanks again so much. I just love the stories that you guys are sharing, and quite frankly, the tactics, how you have both figured out how to stay true to yourself and your family and your career at the same time, because I think that is, I know that all parents and individuals are struggling with this right now, but I just know as a woman myself, it's something that's on my mind every single day is just how to keep all the balls in the air every single minute of every single day. All right, so jumping over to, quite frankly, just a little something fun. So what are the cool things that either a financial planner or an accountant does that enhances the lives of others and or makes the world a better place? Whitney?
I have to think about that. What are cool things that these girls, these young women would think are cool? Right? Well, okay. I always like to share this. So I do pre-pandemic, I would go to high schools and I would talk to the kids about my job. And one thing that's just neat that I think you can all relate to would be social media presence, because I'll always go to the meetings and Google myself, and then here I am all over the internet. Who knew? But when you have your own business and you're focusing on branding yourself, that's really important. But then also to have like a really unique brand to yourself. So that's just really neat, and something that you can really play with. And every company's branding strategy is unique and different. And so if you're really good at that, then that makes the job that much more fun, and it also helps get clients more easily. So that's just a fun, cool thing. Now, enhancing the lives of others. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, earlier, enhancing the lives of others. But I mean, I would say, people have had, unfortunately, I feel like there's a black spot on financial planning and financial advisors. There's a lot of bad reputations. In fact, I just received a referral yesterday from someone who had worked with a financial advisor that had literally stolen $500,000 from this woman. I mean, I think he may have set up a fake account or accounts, and then they can't find, I mean, he closed his business, and now they're working with attorneys. And so for me to be able to be like a financial advisor of healing in a way, right? To be able to be that person that someone can sit down and trust and share, and then to know that I have their best interests in mind, and to really be an advocate for them is really powerful. Because whether or not there's this icky experience with a previous advisor, although I do find that happens a lot, and I get clients a lot that way when they had, not that that's the worst I've experienced, but just to illustrate how bad it could be. But I mean, people just don't, Claudette and I, we have our jobs because people don't know how to do this stuff on their own, right? So to be able to provide the guidance, the direction, when you have a plan, when you have guidance, when you have the problem solved, you have hope. And so to be able to provide hope to area where people just oftentimes don't have it because they don't have the direction, or they feel overwhelmed and stressed about it, to be able to take away those icky feelings, I think is very valuable. And, the more people that can have a positive feeling about their money, then they can then share that with others. So that's probably the most rewarding part of it, and helps improve lives.
Great response. And I only share this because it is a very personal experience for me. When my husband and I met, we were definitely over a decade ago at one of the low points of our financial lives. And you never think about creating a plan at a time when you're at a low point, especially with so many people at their low point right now. But we created a plan and it was the best thing we ever did. Flash forward 10 years, it's like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of this in my 20s? So I love the example that you're providing, and also kind of this artistic, unique, authentic flair to your business. Because I in fact stumbled across you on social media. So the brand was what kind of pulled me in, and the cool things that you're doing related to financial planning. So thank you for sharing kind of who you are with us as well. So what about you, Claudette?
Well, what's cool, wow, in the accounting world, I want to say a spreadsheet, right? Working the calculations, those numbers. And I'm serious about that, by the way. I find that to be very fascinating. To me, it's not always as black and white. I mean, yes, you're dealing with the spreadsheet. Yes, you're dealing with numbers and calculations, but when you're taking someone's real life experience and applying it to numbers, now that's where the creativity and the fun comes into place. So to me, that's cool. That's being able to take someone's circumstances, whether if it's a new startup company or someone who is just individual who's trying to set some strategic goal to kind of lay out their 5-year plan, what have you. To me, that's fun. That's fun, sitting down, listening to individuals share what they want, what they need, and then being able to look at it from a financial perspective and basically creating that art. I look at a spreadsheet as a canvas. So that is my art. That would be my masterpiece, being able to provide, and that is what my clients purchase, from me, amongst other things, of course. But that to me is fun, and I really enjoy it, and I think it's cool. As far as how I think I can make the world a better place, I think like being an entrepreneur is a great, fun, creative way to be. Not to say that it's for everyone, it can be, but whether if you choose that pathway or not, how I know that I can help, especially small businesses, is being able to like sit down, listen, set some goals. A lot of times, companies or just an individual, whether if it's 1, 2, 3, that decide to form a partnership or just to get into some type of joint venture, they have their idea, they know what they know, and they do it well. But sometimes their goals and their ideas don't match their pockets or their wallets. And that's where I come in, and I know that I can help them. So listening and seeing what their plans are, I can basically provide them a more realistic response and basically work those numbers and do like whatever analysis, whether it's a cash flow analysis, to kind of project out year 1 to 5, depending on the individual and their situations. But that's how I know that I can help individuals, is just sitting down, listening to them, and understanding, making sure that I understand what they're saying, and then being able to turn that around and for us to then provide goals along with my canvas to help them. That's how I know I can assist.
So when Sarah and I share out this video, I think our new hashtag for our STEM related movement is spreadsheets are my canvas. That is going to stick with me forever. That is an amazing way to look at the art of what you do in your careers in STEM. So Sarah, I'm going to flip it back to you to see if we have any live questions that have come in from our viewers.
Oh, thank you so much. So, what I am listening to is balance, family, grow. Like, these are the big themes that I'm extracting from what you guys are saying, and I absolutely love it. And what comes to mind is a quote I'd like to share from John Maxwell about consistency. Small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements over time. Just love that. And I'm just thinking that with the consistency that you both have as women entrepreneurs and what you do, that really makes to the big things. And so we have time for 2 questions that have come in. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the first question here. And Whitney, I'll have you line up to answer this one first, if you don't mind. So the question is coming in. What was the hardest or challenging experience you had in your career that you attributed to being female, right? Because we're dealing with maybe more of a primarily male-dominated industry, right? And how did you handle it for your work?
An issue, something that I faced specific to being female, I don't view it that way, so it's hard for me to answer the question, right? So I don't view myself as having a disadvantage for being a woman. And I think your perspective changes everything. So I've always viewed myself as an equal to the men. But it is male dominated. I mean, I was looking at the statistics before we got on our call today, and only 31% of women financial advisors are financial advisors are women. And then CFP, which is one of the higher designations that you can have, which is what I am, only 23% of CFPs are women. So definitely a minority. So I mean, it never got lonely for me being a woman. I would always create relationships with women, in the industry. So, I mean, I'm still very good friends with people that I started with in the industry. And so creating friendship has been a really good way to continue, and real relationship with both men and women, because we can learn from each other. And if a man is feeling insecure about a woman being there, then I guess I didn't even really notice him. Like, that's kind of my personality. I just don't pay attention at all to that type of stuff. And so, and then also I think there's an advantage to being a woman because the industry is recognizing that women are in the minority. So that there are companies that are recruiting women CFPs to be in the industry because we are in such a minority. And so, for example, I'd like to purchase another practice from someone who's retiring. Me being a woman CFP, I have a significant leg up compared to a male CFP when I'm purchasing. So that's really nice. I would say, yeah, I haven't had any like glaring experiences in it. But, when I was worked at Ameriprise, when I was first, that was my first gig, and I was there for 3.5 years. A colleague of mine who's still my friend to this day, our daughters are still friends, and we were pregnant at the same time. And we were asking about working from home. Like, we'd like to work from home, not full-time, but part-time. And they wouldn't let us. And we're like, are you serious? We can definitely work from home. And so I would say balancing family and work is probably, in my opinion, the biggest challenge as a mother, working in the industry, that many fathers just haven't had the same experience because their wife does more of the caretaking traditionally and statistically speaking. So that is probably working for an employer. So that's a part of the reason that I left. I mean, I left for several reasons, but I'm like, oh, if you're not going to give me that flexibility, I'm going to create that flexibility for myself. So I think being a business owner as a woman in the industry is a lot more empowering and freeing than if I were to work for a firm.
I think that that's such great feedback. And I liked what you said about just coming to the table with the equal perspective. Like, I just absolutely love that, because it is about perspective. It is about how we think about ourselves, right? And having that confidence, right? So that's great. So Claudette, what about you? What was the hardest and most challenging experience you had in your career so far, being female in the accounting world?
Well, I will say I'm like right on par with Whitney because I do feel the same where I don't look at this world more, okay, here's my gender or anything. I will say that. For me, it was just kind of, okay, I was a tunnel vision entrepreneur who I knew what I wanted. I still know what I want. And like all of the noise, meaning all of the negativities, I filter out. So I don't focus my energy on that. So I never really took time. I was aware, but I never took time to dwell on negativity. So for me, it wasn't about, okay, oh my gosh, well, this is a male dominant, or this is, women are being more treated incorrectly, or what have you. I never thought of things that way. I just stayed focused and stayed true to myself and knew what I wanted. And I knew that it was all on me. There was no one that could take away but me. I can only provide. So if I can put the time and put the effort into my vision and move forward and surround myself with positive individual, whether if it's it didn't matter what the gender is. That was the most important piece for me for being very successful, is basically surrounding myself with positive individuals. Now, as far as, again, Whitney like nailed it, because the only piece that I can think of that could be very challenging, and I'm sure same as a dad or, someone who's a dad or a male, is the family piece of it, right? I've even ran into where I was a hardworking individual, working as an employee, being pregnant and having to take maternity leave. That piece was challenging because the words don't ever get spoken, but you can see the behavior, the changes, how one treats you and how they speak to you compared to if you were not pregnant. But again, that's all noise, right? So I never really focused, but I was very aware of that. And then coming back from maternity and knowing and seeing those changes and having to work, well, I felt that I had to work twice as hard just because I had to prove myself, because I left, I took my maternity leave, and now I'm back. So I have to try to make up for that time. And so that, from that perspective, that I found was very challenging, but doable for me. But, again, it just becomes very stressful. And one of the reasons where I wanted that flexibility, I wanted that power over myself and the control to basically be able to, if I decide that I'm going to stay up at 3 a.m. and I'm going to work, I'm going to do that. But if I also decide to pick up and leave at 1 o'clock because my kid's sick or something like that, I'm also going to do that because I have that flexibility versus, working in a larger company. But that's only from my perspective. So, and that could just be something within me where I might feel that everyone's like, oh my gosh, where are you going? Why are you leaving the office? But again, it's just, I think that was just the only piece and the only way that I can basically have control over the things that I do and to put me where I am today. And I have no regrets over that. I think that you can have both, a family, you can have, 1 kid, 2 kids, what have you. But, I think we all go through whatever battle, but if we can overcome it and stay positive and surround ourselves with positive people, I think we're good. We'll be good.
I think that's so great because it's wherever your focus is at is what grows. So I'm loving what you're saying. I like, I want that flexibility. I'm going to go create it, right? I love that. And we have this unique opportunity to have entrepreneurs on the panel today, right? So we're going to take this one final question here about what advice would you give the young people watching this on the playback too and watching today? What advice would you share with them about starting a business? So anyone who wants to go first, why don't you jump in and let us know what kind of parting words of wisdom on being an entrepreneur in your field would you offer?
Do you want me to go, Claudette? Since I've gone
Oh, it doesn't
the
matter.
other
I can
time.
go too. It doesn't matter.
Go. You go first to change it up.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, I will say this. I mean, if you're looking to start up your own business, you have a great idea, go for it. Like, don't stop. I feel that you're going to second guess yourself. You're going to have others that surround you that will second guess you, that will tell you that you're being ridiculous, maybe. They might say, oh, don't, oh my gosh, guaranteed payment, like W-2. You can listen, but if you have a great idea and you want to pursue that and convert it into your own, please go for it. Because I can't say that it's going to be easy, but it's not always going to be difficult. And it will be very rewarding. And again, I've mentioned this just not too long ago. As long as you surround yourself with positive individuals and you try to be more positive internally and try to filter out all of the negativity and know that you can do it. And if you feel that you can't, and let's say you're struggling about something, self-educate yourself. If you're uncertain about the path that you need to take, reach out to someone. Find someone who can mentor you, or find one of your peers that could potentially, you guys can bounce ideas off of each other. But either way, don't give up. Just keep at it until you reach where you feel, whether you might decide like, I changed my mind, that's fine. But don't change your mind and don't give up because you're too afraid, or you wake up one day and you're like, you're too tired, or it's too draining, or it's too costly, or, there's always a solution to a problem. And find that and figure it out. Don't give up for the wrong reasons. That is what I feel like would be.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah.
So I agree. I was going to say get a mentor or mentors. So Claudette mentioned that because people are willing to give you advice. I am like, if anybody watching wants to get in financial planning, reach out. Like it's really important to get people who you admire, who are in the field that you're interested in, to mentor you because they've already gone through it. So that is one piece of advice. And, go into something that you're passionate about. Go into something and then also make sure there's a need in the marketplace. So, by that, I know you may want to start a restaurant, but it may not be the most unique idea, right? So, and this is like my job, having tough conversations with people in love. So, right. So if you want to start a restaurant, know that it won't be very profitable because restaurants have a very thin margin, meaning low profit. And so that's just an example. Know the business before you get into it. And that's the beauty of getting a mentor, right? Because then that mentor can help you be unique in the marketplace. They can help you make sure you're meeting a unique need, because if you're meeting a unique need and you're telling people what that unique need is that you're meeting, then you will be successful. And just make sure you're passionate about it. So that would be my advice.
I think that's so great. That like having that passion and reminding yourself why you do what you're doing is so important being an entrepreneur, because there are days where you go, what am I doing? Yeah, no, 100%. No, thank you so much for contributing to those questions. I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Amanda to wrap it up for us.
Yeah, I flip forward to the final question because I think you guys answered it. We had such an incredible, impactful session today. And I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your journeys with our viewers now and in the future. As I click forward here, I'm going to pass along all of our social media information for those of you that are watching that want to stay tuned to either listen again to this panel or what panelists are coming up in the future. Follow both our Million Women Mentors Minnesota as well as our Trailblazers Live social media profiles, just to stay informed, connected, encouraged, inspired. And you'll also note at the top of the slide, trailblazerslive@kiat.com. If you're an inspiring young woman in STEM and you want to share your story, you want to inspire others, shoot us an email. Also, if you have questions or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. You know, progress, not perfection. We launched this model during the pandemic, and we want to keep making it better and better every single time. So thank you again so much to our panelists. Sarah, you're a rock star, co-pilot here. And again, thank you again so much, everyone, and have a wonderful holiday season. Trails blazed.
Trails blazed.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.